Welcome to Under the Covers, where we talk to your favorite YouTube drummers and get behind the scenes of their covers and their channels. Before we dive in, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel using these buttons below, and do the same thing for our featured drummer. You'll find links for the channels and videos and anything else we discuss in the description. Let's get started. Everybody, welcome to Under the Covers. This is episode 8. We're here with Joey Clark. I'm super excited about this one. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to Joey's channel. He's insanely good. So, ta-da, introduction.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
So,
Good to be here.
yeah, this is I was actually really looking forward to this one, man. Like, you seem like a very humbled guy, so I assume you probably will adjust yourself at the compliment, but you are insanely good. I mean, like, I love watching your videos, and it's not just the technique and the ability, but your mix is also like just really awesome. Like, everything sounds perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, well, on the mix, what I do is I kind of have my settings for, like, I get a preliminary mix, and then I'll go and listen to it on like several different devices, like iPhone, computer, and then I'll bring it into my car. And then if I can get it to sound good on all of those things, then I know I got a good mix.
That sounds exhausting. Do you do that for every video, or you do that
every video? So, well, because I kind of get bored. So
yeah,
I call it practice too. So I always want to get better at my production. So I will just sit down and try different things, and then I'll do a render or whatever, and then I'll upload it to, like, the cloud. So I get it to my iPhone, and then I'll listen to it through the speaker on the iPhone. Then I'll listen to it through the headphones. And then as I'm driving to work or something, I'll throw it on in the car. And if it sounds good through the stereo, then I know we're good to go. So that's how I do it.
I've got a 1982 Escort, so nothing I play through my car is going to sound awesome.
Well, if it does sound awesome, then you know you have a good mix.
Very true. Very true. I was going to ask this question later, but we're here, so why move? Like, what software are you using for your mix?
I use Reaper.
Okay.
I didn't have any prior experience to any other software. My guitar player had recommended that, and so that's what I went with. So, and I've been using it ever since. So, and I found some really good videos on YouTube on how to use it, because I came into this not knowing really how to do any of this stuff. So
I was going to ask you if you had a background, like, we'll get to other bands in a minute, but, like, if you had done any of the mixing for other bands, because, I mean, based on the amount of videos that I've seen, and really when you started doing covers, like, that is light speed to get from don't know what you're doing to what you have.
Yeah, literally, it was trial and error. And watching a lot of tutorial videos and screwing a lot of things up. So I would get to a certain point and I think, oh, this is great. And then all of a sudden something would happen
Mhm.
Like there's video or audio wouldn't mix, and I didn't know how to get back in there and kind of fix it. So I delete the whole damn thing, and then I do the whole thing again. And to me, I was just saying, all right, don't get upset about it. Just use it as a learning experience and just get better with it. So if you have to do that, just keep doing that until you can figure out where that mistake was. And then if there's an easier way to fix it, make a note of that next time. So that's
You,
kind of what I was doing.
you do have a bit of an IT background too, though, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah. Well,
So,
I did for 14 years. I worked with computers, servers, installation, teaching people how to use software and that sort of stuff. So I did.
so I guess the reason I was asking though is if you're going from a background in software, even if it's a background in software and hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can finagle. You can figure it out.
My problem overall is that clearly you're making your videos like you sit down and say, I'm going to make Guns N' Roses today, right? But
That is correct.
yeah, that's the issue for me is I'm doing the same thing, which is trial and error, but you wouldn't see it for 5 videos because I'll listen to something and go, hey, that sounds really good. I'm going to tweak it next time. But I do all of them in bulk. And like I said, I've said this before, I don't sit down to make anything. I just hit shuffle, and so that's what my videos are, just me practicing. And if I see something that's all the way through that doesn't look horrible, then I clip it and post it. But that's the issue for me is like I've obviously been working really hard on the sound, and I really don't think that I'm there yet. But it takes weeks before you even see I've made this small little tweak.
Right. Yeah, so when I do I only do one at a time. So, and I've been taking my time with them. So I used to do 2 to 3 videos a week. And then I started thinking to myself, I said, all right, because some things I would let go and I was like, it bothers me. Probably the person that's watching is not going to really notice it. But it's every time I watch it, it's just going to make me cringe. So what I started doing is taking my time and spending a little more time learning the song. And then sometimes I'll do a demo of the actual song before I do the video. So I'll pre-record or I'll record it as a demo. And when I'll get all my levels and then I'll re-record it. I have everything set up in my digital workstation. And then I just put the new tracks in there and then everything's already edited. I just maybe need to clip out some noise in the beginning or at the end or something. But all my plugins, all the levels, all my panning, that's all done. So I'll do that.
This kind of leads me to another question that I had, I guess, a little further down the road is, it looks like you've been putting out covers for about a year. So
correct.
I haven't found a way that doesn't sound like I'm being impolite when I ask this question, but like, what's the intent or the purpose behind your channel, or at least since you started doing drum covers? Like,
So I started. It was around COVID when COVID hit and everything shut down, and so I couldn't play out. And I started practicing a lot of drums, just different techniques and grooves and rudiments and that sort of stuff. But then I kind of got bored with that, and I was like, then I started watching. I think it was like the channel Delta Empire. I saw his channel, and he was doing like all like the heavy metal, and like the way he hits is just like wicked hard and like just a solid drummer. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. I said, I don't think I could do it at that level, but let me just try something. So it was the Christmas before 2021, I think. I asked for a GoPro for Christmas, and I had my iPhone. And from there, I just started doing the videos and then trying to sync so my first step was, let me just see if I can sync the video with my drums. And once I figured that out, I was like, okay. And then I started adding some more cameras and stuff. And then we just went on from there. But my intent was, I have creative energy that I need to get out. So the drumming and the video and like the graphic design all played into all of my favorite things to do outside of like work. So that was really my intention, was to keep myself busy. And if people seem to enjoy it or want to watch it, even better. But really, I just started doing it for myself. Number one, to see if I could do it. And number two, just I need to get that energy, that creative energy out. And so that's how it started.
Yeah, I got largely stuck on the where you started, which is like I played in bands for a long time, and it went from I truthfully, like I came to the point where I'm not gonna make it, so I wanted to focus on career, but I never put down the drumsticks ever, so I continued playing in bands. And when I moved to Baltimore, there's an original scene here, and I'd have to learn, someone's entire catalog of music. And I have a very love-hate relationship with singer-songwriters anyways. The drummer, I mean, like, so then I was like, look, I'm just going to start recording my practice so I can see what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong.
Sure.
And I'm working on rudiments, and then, like specific fills. Like I started, I think, in the same place you did, where I played through high school, like in orchestra band, and I played in the jazz band. Right. But I really put down the rudiments for a long time. And so I was like, let's go back to this. So when I play or when I practice, it's easier for me to figure it out by trying to put it in a song. Like, and if you watched them one right after another, like you can tell by the color of my shirt or what shirt I'm wearing. If you watch them, you can kind of see a reoccurring theme where I'm trying to put something in or work on something specific to make it cleaner or better. But yeah. So, anyways, you put out some amazing stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I just try to do the best I can do, and what I try to do is just I try to make myself happy. If I'm happy with it, then I'm pretty sure the viewer will be happy as well. I mean, most of the time, every now and then, not everybody can be happy. So whatever.
I'm sure you have probably a high bar. I do too. Like I'm overly critical of myself. And that's one of the things too about me is that I want negative comments, like not like, hey, you're fat and you suck. Like hey, you messed up that pill. So that sometimes I don't see it, and everyone's really supportive, so nobody does that. Right. But it's the same thing with my mix. Like I want people to tell me, hey, like you could probably do this or that. I'll go address it. I don't have hurt feelings, but in every single one of my videos, there's something I could tell you. Like there's none of it's perfect because it's like one take, maybe two. So, so tell me about yourself, like personal information, as much as you're willing to share.
Sure. Let's see. 43 years old. Originally grew up in New York. Now I live in Vermont. I've been doing personal training for 9 years. I've been essentially playing the drums. I mean, I got my real first drum set. I was like 2.5. That kind of got thrown down the staircase and got jumped through with, I think I jumped through the bass drum or something. And then around like 1987, I got like a 3-piece kit. It had like a bass drum, a snare drum, and a tom and one cymbal. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I ended up with a Rogers kit, and then a 9-piece Pearl kit, which was just, outrageous because, I learned really quick that I didn't want to carry all those drums around with me. And I didn't want to set them up. I didn't want to take them down. It's too long at the end of the night, that sort of thing. Let's see. What else? I don't know. What else you got for me?
I saw. Well, I know some of the answers to the questions because I read them, but I was curious about the 2 years old thing because I was like, "Holy shit, man!" Like, when do you? I'm sorry, I said filthy word. I said, "Holy shit, man! 2 years old." But if you really like it up in 1987. Well, you were about 12 then, right?
Yeah, yeah, because it was so I was around 12. I was 10.
Okay.
Or no, I was 9, 9
9.
because I was born in 1978. So
Okay.
I was 9, right? So that was around. I think so. In 4th grade, I started taking drum lessons. So,
Okay.
yeah, and then from there, I got into the band, and then I did the symphonic band. Jazz band didn't start till like 7th or 8th grade because they didn't have one of those in elementary school. But and then I did jazz band all through high school. I did the symphonic band all through high school, and then I had 3 to 4. Like some were heavy metal bands, some were punk rock bands, some were pop rock bands. So I was playing in bands all through that time as well. So
yeah, we're about the same age, which is really depressing. Like,
well, it's all right.
I started in 6th grade. I did symphonic band. I did jazz band for a little bit, and then joined bands. Someone asked on one of the Facebook pages, what was the first song you ever played, and put up a cover of it. But or first song you ever played live, actually, was the question. And the first song I ever played live was I was the drummer for the Grease play. And I hate like all of the songs in that. Like, I don't even like the play. But, that was the first one. I'm not repeating it.
That's funny.
Is it weird that even though I know you don't live in New Jersey, I can't shake the idea that you're from New Jersey? Like, I feel
like the Jersey Shore or something.
I was not Jersey Shore. Like, that didn't mean to be implied, but like, for some reason, man, like I was mowing my lawn before the interview, and I was like, dude, I'm totally gonna recreate the beginning of Sopranos for this. Like, and I was like, he doesn't live in New Jersey.
I don't live in New Jersey. No. I have family that lives in New Jersey, but no, I've never lived in. I mean, I came from New York, but it was like upstate New York. So we're like 3.5 hours from like New York City. So,
okay.
Yeah, like Saratoga Springs, New York. So, but yeah, now I'm in Vermont. So very, very far from Jersey now.
Yeah, I read your My Story thing on your website. We can talk about that or not talk about that. That's up to you.
Oh, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yep.
It was, honestly, man, like, and I'm not equating, and I'm not trying to one up, but I was in, this is what I took away from the story when I read it, is first and foremost, I'll say a family member struggles with addiction. So I'm really close to that. And then also in 2005, I was hit by a drunk driver. So I like broke every bone in my face. Like a lot of people in that moment would like break down and give up. And that was the thing about the story when I read yours that I was most impressed with, is like, you could have given up at a certain point, and instead you like brushed it off. I'll let you fill in the gaps, but I at least wanted to tell you that part, that was what I took away from it more than anything else, is it was impressive as hell that you didn't let something beat you.
Thank you. It took, it took me getting basically arrested and losing my job. Like, so everybody's got a different like rock bottom. So, that was my rock bottom. So, I was looking, up to 15 years in jail because I had stolen some pills from a pharmacy. And everybody's like, how could you do that when you're like on camera and there's people around? I said, look, when you're in the throes of an addiction, all you think about is how and where and when can I get those drugs. You don't care about what you do really to get them or how you get them, because all your brain is focused on is I need to get those, and that's all I really care about. Once you can break that kind of cycle, things do become easier. So I've never been a quitter, or like if somebody says, oh, you can't do something, well, then I'm like, I'm going to double down and I'm going to try and I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try and do it 110% just to prove, just to prove. Now, meanwhile, I should be trying to prove it to myself. Like, when you're, this goes to any addiction. So it goes to food or drugs. It wasn't until I wanted to stop and do it for myself that it actually took hold and then stayed. Because if you're going to do it for somebody else, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You got to do it for yourself. So
Right.
until you can get that mindset, whatever you're doing, it's going to be a lot harder to, try and quit something or try and get better at something, like drums or something like that. But, what I kind of narrowed it down to also was just consistency and trying to be consistent with, trying to get more healthy, trying to eat better. And then it's also like people, places, and things. So if you can get rid of some of the people that you used to hang out with, some of the places that you used to go, and something that may trigger you to want to go do drugs or whatever, you got to be aware of all of that stuff. So,
We'll turn it to the success part of the story, though, just in case someone's not motivated enough to go actually read the rest of it. Like, I'll tell you how you dug out of it, though.
Right. So, so I had put myself into a rehab, and I ended up getting a 2 years probation. So within that period, I was volunteering. I was trying to get into the gym and get more healthy. And at the time, I was dating a girl who was volunteering at the gym. And she told me I should go get a shift and just go volunteer at the gym, because then you get a free membership and you can go work out and all that stuff. So I started to do that. Through doing that, I noticed that there was not a lot of trainers on site all the time. So the two trainers that were in and out, I just asked them, I said, how can I get into this? I want to get into this and start, training people. And they kind of gave me, the pathway to how to, get your certificate and get, to train people. So that's what I did. So from April to, so it was April 2012. And from January 2013, I had basically did like a 180, and it was by that time I was started to train people. I got my certifications, and all that through that whole time, I was still going to rehab and I was on probation. So I had to stay clean. So if I didn't stay clean, I was immediately off the jail, and that was not on my agenda. So that was the big motivator for me, just to stay clean and stay out of jail. So, and that really is what kind of, was the motivator for me to stop doing drugs as well, but kind of turn my life around and get on this path that I'm on now. And I had some, my wife was a big influence. My parents were there. So I had a good support network as well. So that also helped. And still to this day, I have a counselor that I go talk to every week. So just to keep, for me, it's just how to cope with certain things. Because, I was on drugs from 18 to 33 years old. So like, there's a lot of things in there that you would run to that you didn't want to deal with. You would go run to get high, and then you wouldn't have to deal with it until you weren't high anymore and the problems were still there and you just were out of drugs, kind of thing. So, yeah. So that's kind of my story. Yeah.
And now you have a successful business, and you've been clean and sober for 10 years now, right?
10 years. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah, my family member, it was a coping thing. Like anytime there was a major problem, she would relapse. And then, from the outside looking in, it was hard watching her find rock bottom. Like that was the biggest thing. And she's clean now, so that's good. But
nice.
Trying to help was really the wrong thing to do, because how I tried to help ended up just being how I got taken advantage of to find drugs. So
that's the thing. So the drug, there's a lot of manipulation and there's a lot of lying. So you got to kind of sift through that stuff, and that, that stuff can stay with you, as if you're not trying to actively continue to work on yourself, so, but that's why I still go see somebody.
I appreciate you talking about it, man. Like,
Yeah.
but I find that like today, I am the sum total of my decisions, and I'm definitely not an angel here. So I've got my own baggage that I drag into the video myself, um, but the same thing too is that I found that these little small decisions that don't seem that impactful at the time are the ones that change your life the most dramatically down the road. And sometimes, and I don't know if this has been the experience for you, but some of at the time something happened to me, I thought it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. But really, in retrospect, it was the best thing that could have happened to me at that particular moment.
Well, that's my story. That's the bottom line. Like, all that crap that happened ended up being a positive in the long run, because I'm much happier now. I like, not that I didn't like my job before, but like, one of the things was when you're fixing computers, there's not a lot of interaction with people. And now now I get to help fix people instead of fixing a machine. So it's a little more rewarding. So yeah, so it's cool. Yeah, it's like came full circle. So
you seem kind of introverted to me, and you can tell me if I'm off base with that. But I find that to be kind of rare with drummers too.
Yeah, I'm not. Now, my wife would tell you that I have a very loud personality. I'm going, I just don't see it, because I to myself feel like I'm very quiet, but apparently I have a loud presence, but I am not like, I don't feel like I'm actively trying to seek attention. Like, like a lot of the guys will do like an intro or an outro on their video. And I'm like, oh, that would be cool. But I just don't see myself doing that every time, because I just don't feel like people want to hear me talk, or I don't have anything interesting to say, kind of. So I just kind of let the drums do the talking,
To a certain degree, like I feel like I sound like a crazy person talking to myself on a video. Like this is why I did that. Talk to somebody. It's different. But and here's the interesting dichotomy with all of this, though, is that I've seen you play on stage in some of the videos. You don't seem very introverted on stage, which I guess is probably normal. But
right. Well, so if I'm there to put on a show.
Right.
The people are there to see a show. So I'm going to give the best damn performance that I could give. So that means I'm going to be spinning and throwing and standing up and, shouting at people, because when I go to a concert, that's what I want to see from the band. I want them to engage, with the crowd.
Right.
It's great to watch. You can go watch anybody just sit and play, but like, if it's like a rock concert, especially, you want like that energy. You want it to be, fist pumping and getting that feedback from the crowd, feed off the energy from the crowd. So,
go ahead.
Well, so yeah, so I kind of take my cues from like Tommy Lee, right? Live, just give it the best show that you can give the people that are there to watch. So.
The funny thing about that, and this is what I was going to say, is that I've heard a repeated comment that I look relaxed when I'm playing, right? But if you ever saw me play live, it's totally different, because I'm not paying attention to mistakes live. Like, nobody in the audience is going to go, hey, you messed that triple up. Like, nobody cares. It's just
they don't care.
Wild. Actually, I brought the most cymbals, the most heads, the most sticks playing, and I almost never do it like when I'm practicing, because I'm focusing on getting it right, not on the showmanship.
Correct.
So,
and I kind of do this. So when I do the videos, I'm really focused on I want to make sure I get every hit, everything is in time, everything is perfect. Live, I'm like, well, I can be a little looser.
Yeah.
Right? You can have more fun with it, because I'm not, I still want to give the best performance and try and get every note or whatever. But if you miss one or whatever, you play something a little bit different. It's live. And quite frankly, I'll go listen to a bunch, if I got a song that I want to learn for a video, I'll go listen to the live tracks and see what they do different live versus what they did.
Yeah.
Hardly ever do they ever play the same damn thing that they recorded live.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but if you were to, sometimes I feel if I were to do that and do the video, there's somebody's going to say, well, you didn't play that part right. I go, yeah, but he did it live. So whatever.
Yeah, I actually like, I mean, that's the point where like, I don't care too much. Like, if someone said, well, you didn't do that part right, like, and whatever. But I made that comment to somebody else that was saying that they focus a lot on note for note covers. And it's impressive to me. Like, I'm not, please don't misunderstand. Like, it's impressive. You play it note for note. But the drummer who did it doesn't play it note for note. Like, that's my point. So
that is so true. That is very true.
And I don't know about for you, but like my natural playing style is actually really hard. Like, and so I told you I've been focusing on rudiments and so forth. And I just find that I actually have a lot more control and it sounds better when I actually have to stop in between and like breathe and relax it out, because I'll listen to a song sometime and I just want to like,
yeah. I constantly have to remind myself to pull it back and breathe and relax, because I get tense too. And then there's sometimes I'll watch a video and I'm like completely upright and my arms and I'm like, oh, I'm just like so tense right now. It's like I need to relax. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I know what you're talking about.
And 9 times out of 10, like if I play through something and I'm like, oh, I messed that fill up, 99% of the time it's because like I was anticipating it and then I got tensed up about it. And then I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter really whether I get it completely right, A. And B, like once I relax and I'm not worried about it, like I'll nail it. Like it's not.
That's it. I just had a conversation with Drum Man 190 about this. And he was asking me about, because sometimes I have the sheet music, and he goes, what do you use that for? And he goes, and I was like, well, what I tend to do is I try to memorize as much as possible. But sometimes when I'm having an issue with like a certain fill or a certain part of the song, I have the sheet music there just as a little cue. But it also, I start to do the same thing. I would start to think about the fill before, and then if I think about it, I'm definitely going to screw it up. If I just relax and let it go, the fill goes, and then there's no problem. So yeah, that happens to me all the time. And then sometimes I'm just internally saying, listen, calm down, breathe, and relax. I do that live too, because sometimes, because you're live, then you got adrenaline, and then everything tends to go a little bit faster. And then, I want to pull it back, because sometimes I started to pay attention to the singer, and sometimes it's hard for them. If it's too fast, they can't get all the words out. So it's like, okay, we'll pull back. It's going to sound better. And then, just relax. And then everything it'll go off smoothly. So yeah, for sure.
Lots of bands that I've been in, like that's one thing because I can't do crazy fills, and I just know that about myself, but I am a pocket drummer. Like I am really good at like making sure I hit the time. And actually, the one that comes to mind is we played Cherub Rock, and that obviously guitar started, and I had to start giving them a click before it, because if not, it turned into a speed metal song. And I'm like, I can't go that fast, man. Like, there's a lot. I noticed I actually just recently noticed the sheet music, and I was going to ask you about that. How long have you had the music up? Has it been up there the whole time and I just didn't notice it until recently, or is it a recent addition?
It's, let me think about this. I would say like within the last 8 to 10 months. Because when I started it, I just started doing everything by ear. And then what I started to do is, if I would have trouble with a certain part, I would go try to find the music so I could at least look and see, what am I doing here? What am I flipping around or something? I'd flip the beat or something like that. And then, because I played through elementary school and jazz band and all that stuff, I had a pretty decent reading ability. It wasn't great. But then I said to myself, oh, because I got asked to fill in for a couple, like the local symphonic band that's in Waterbury and stuff, and it's all charts and stuff. And I just didn't feel like I wasn't confident on my reading ability to go sit in with somebody and just to go read charts and go play. So I was like, oh, well, I could do this. I could practice. I could practice my sight reading. I can make a video, and then I can kill two birds with one stone. So that's what I started doing. Then what I started doing is like taking more of my time and just really focusing on trying to get as much as I could with the memorization. Just keep that up there in case I need a little cue or something. And then I do kind of a hybrid thing. So most of it is memorization. If I need a little cue, I got my chart there in case I need it. So that's what I've been doing lately. Yeah.
I feel like I could partially read music if it was put in front of me, but I don't think I've even looked at sheet music for the better part of like 20, 30 years. Yeah, it's probably been that long. Which is unfortunate. Like it's the same thing with the rudiments, man. Like I just when you're more focused on the girls and the drinking and the stage, like you're like, yeah, rudiments.
Yep, I agree with you. I mean, there was a lot of times where my drum teacher would be showing me something and like, I'm never going to use that. And now I'm like,
use it all the time.
Yeah.
Tell me about well, let's start with the teachers first. I did a little research on the names you listed on the website. It's a pretty easy guess that Preston Nash was a founding member of Nash, and there was another band that I think he played in, and I assumed he was part of.
So he was in. He was the drummer in a band called Dope, and he was also the drummer in a band called Primer 55. Yeah. So I met him through a guy. I was in another hardcore band in Albany, New York, and this guy had owned the record label, and he had called me one day and he said, would you like to get, so the band had the guitar player from Biohazard, Preston was doing the singing and guitar playing, lead singer and guitar, and they needed a drummer. So they had brought me in as the drummer, and we did that was my first national tour. That was around 2001 or so. And so we toured all around the United States. And then at one point, Preston was going back to play drums in Primer 55, but his wife was pregnant and she was going to have a baby. So he asked me to go fill in for him for a part of the tour. So I ended up going back on tour with Primer 55. And I did a couple shows, like 5 or 6 shows with them, I think, back in, that was like 2002, 2003. And then, and the reason I list him as because he was also, he now runs it's called Rock Garage. It's kind of like Rock, School of Rock, but they call it Rock Garage, and he runs that out of Indianapolis. So he's now like an educator, and he runs that now. So, but I learned a lot from him as far as like showmanship and kind of the way to conduct yourself on stage, like trying to get the crowd involved. And he was just a really solid drummer. And his whole kind of philosophy was like, because like we had like 1 or 2 days before a tour to rehearse. So he's like, listen, you got to get the structure of the song. It doesn't matter if you play everything, 100%, just, get the feel, get the structure. And that's kind of how, we rolled there. Now my original drum teacher, which was Larry Levine, he was a local guy, but he was pretty well known, and he had like a lot of endorsements, and but he's a well known kind of educator. So he was friends with all of the big drummers, and they would do like clinics and stuff. So we could go down and kind of meet the drummers and stuff like that. So that's that I took for 7 years. So that was like private from 91 to 97, all through I was in middle school and high school. So, yeah.
And then I saw Rich Lamplant.
Oh yeah. So he was the drummer, the teacher they had in college, and he was so basically my kind of, well, he would actually be the second drum instructor for drum set, because kind of after I left college, I ended up that's when Preston kind of came into the picture after that. So it's like Larry, Rich, and then Preston after that. So
That's the thing that you were saying about understanding the structure first. That's one of the things that drives me the most nuts about like a lot of singer-songwriters, is because in their head they're like, this is the song should be played like exactly note for note. And I'm like, dude, I'm not your guy if that's what you want. Like, if you want me to keep time, I'll totally do that. Like, I'm not gonna like throw it way off the dock. But you know, I had this it's a funny story that maybe I shared it, maybe I didn't, but I did a pickup gig for a band. Like, my buddy was the bass player, and he was like, hey, we're doing a show at this club. I need a drummer. And we had 2 weeks before the show. When I got there, I found out that the singer-songwriter had written like 12 songs that all really largely like they had like the same changes, or he was trying to get like super creative with like 17 different time signatures. And two of the songs started the exact same way. So 2 weeks to practice, like a couple of practice things, we sit down and we start playing. And I started the wrong intro for the wrong song because it was the other one. And he came over to me in the middle of the stage and said, what the fuck was that? And so I was like, no. And I came up to him after the show was done, and I was like, dude, if you ever do that to me again, like, and I mean ever do that to me again.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
So you have some big names listed for bands that you toured with or supported, I assume, opening act?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Was that largely with Nash and the...
Well, so there's some of them were on the tours, and then some of them were just one-offs. So some of them were like big festivals, you know, and we would open up for like I think Hoobastank was on there, Ludacris, Simple Plan. So that was all like one show. Then one of my bands, we won a contest and we got to open up in an arena for 3 Days Grace, Puddle of Mud, and Breaking Benjamin. So that was that was a huge show. That was awesome. And then so the bands like Dope, Society One, and Skin Lab and Primer, those were all in one tour. So that was the Primer 55 tour that I filled in on. And then all the other ones besides that, the festival, a couple festivals in there, and then that big show. All of those were like one-off type things. So we'd drive, open up, and then we'd be done basically. You know.
So was that arena show, was that the biggest one you ever played?
Yes. Yeah. I think there was like 6,000 people there. So wow. It was pretty good.
I also saw you
played
CBGBs.
What's that?
I also saw you played CBGBs.
I did. That was like 2004, right before it closed, because they had all the sign. That was right before they closed because I think they had back rent or something. But it had all the Save CBGB signs all over the place. And shortly after that, they closed because they couldn't keep it open. They couldn't afford to keep it open, I didn't think. So yeah, that was kind of fun.
I would assume that would have to be super cool, man. There's so much history in that bar.
Yes, that was fun. We actually chartered a huge bus. So we brought down a bus full of people to CBGB's, and then we played for like an hour and a half or 2 hours or something. Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was cool. Yeah.
Now, I assume you're playing in bands now, right? Or are you just doing fill-ins?
No, I have. Well, I filled in 2 weeks ago for a band. This is a first for me. I get a call on a Monday night. The gig's on Friday. I got the set list on Thursday. I sat down and had a couple hours on Friday to play some songs that some of them I never even heard and never even played. And I told them, I said, look, take these songs and just put them towards the end of the set, because normally by the end of the set, there's a lot of drunk people and they don't give a shit about anything. So if we mess it up, they're not going to care. However, what happened is I show up. We ended up playing for almost 4 hours, and there was no real major train wrecks. So nobody ever meeting each other and nobody ever playing with each other. So I was quite happy with how it turned out. Normally, like in my regular band, we have regular practices and we have a set list that, I know all the songs and it's a lot smoother. But, so I'm not opposed to fill in, but I would like, more than like a day to kind of get my bearings.
That's we were in this 70s funk band. We used to do like toasts like regularly and say, because the drunker you are, the better we sound. So the more you feed them drinks, like it doesn't really matter what you do towards the end.
That is true. That is very true. So.
From a personal standpoint, did you stop doing the like larger shows and bigger stuff like that have anything to do with the 2005 thing, or is that just didn't no opportunities?
So, well, what happened is I ended up so I moved out of New York and then I moved to Vermont. So because kind of like what you were talking about earlier, at a certain point you got to this is not going to go any more. Like, I'm not going to get to where like I'm making millions of dollars here. So I need a job. That's what I ended up going, doing the IT thing. And I ended up moving to Vermont for that job. And then it's different here. So like, there's like a pretty good original scene because it's a bigger city. Albany, New York is a little bit bigger. So around here, there's I think there is original stuff, but it's a lot of like cover bands and stuff. So I just I just like to play live. So so the cover thing works for me. You get paid a fairly decent amount of money, and you get to do what you like to do. So it's a win-win. Because otherwise, you go play original songs and then you make no money, and it's whatever. It's it's fun, but I'd like to get compensated.
And that's the biggest thing to me is that, like, I have to like the music. So if it's money driven, then you're like, all right, well, then you're enduring songs you don't like playing, which sucks all the joy out of it. And then if you do like the songs, then maybe you still get the money out of it, but there's still a dedication to it. But it's just, and you and I grew up probably around the same time where, there were no YouTube sensations. You had to be the right people, the right look, maybe say something about drugs in your song somewhere or say a word, and then you can maybe get some fame for 5 minutes. But it just, to me, like, and I grew up poor, and therein lied not to say, I don't think that I've ever been really awesome, but it still becomes that decision time where you're like, all right, do I want to have like some money, or do I want to keep feeding it? And then for as long as there are cover scenes, I love playing on stage, but there's just no cover scene here. So, right. So you were endorsed by Pearl for a while too.
I was. That was around the same time I was doing all those tours, which I got through because Preston was endorsed by Pearl. So he had given my name to the artist representative. And then for 2 years, I ended up getting the Pearl endorsement. So that's the kit. This kit here I had made from Pearl. So I've had that for 20 years now, actually. So
that's really nice.
I love it. Love it. Yeah.
This is a perfect time to tell me about your kit, but can you start with your heads? Because I don't know if those are chosen because of the drum. Obviously, I'm sure that in part they probably are, but tell me about your head choice.
Yeah, so I love the Evans Onyx, the black coated heads. They're a little darker. I like the coated because for recording, it gives a little bit more. It's not as bright and not as many overtones. And I tend to tune them. I tend to tune mine a little bit higher, but so like my floor, I think, is like, I use one of those tension watch things.
Yeah.
So I tune it at about like an 80 for the top and then an 85 on the bottom. And then I'll do the middle tom, the second rack tom, I'll do 85 on the top and 90 on the bottom. And then on the small tom, I do 90 on the top and 95 on the bottom. So I do everything a fifth higher on the bottom than I do on the top. For me, it just gives it a little bit more resonance out of the head, or out of the drum. And I really love on the snare. I've been using the Evans HD Dry, and it has the holes around the side of it. But I started going with the double ply. So I really loved the sound of a single ply, but I hit too hard and then it doesn't last very long. So I started going with the 2-ply head, and it gets a little more, it's a little more durable. And I still get the sound that I want out of it. So, and then on the kick drum, I got the EMAD2, and it's got the ring around it. So, yeah. So that's what I'm using. On the bottoms, I think I just have your typical,
The
ambassador. Yeah, something like that. Whatever they are. I can't. Diplomat. I don't know. Something like that. I have Remo on the bottom, Evans on the top.
Oh, okay. Yeah, since I got the DWs, like the DWs don't seem to like the coated, so I recently got the uncoated. Not because I have I think it's the EC2s on this, but I just recently I actually bought clears, which for the batter heads, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to break, and then I got the 2-ply with the ring around it. So I'm going for a drum head change because on my Yamaha kit the coated sounded really good, but for some reason it's just not working very well on the DW. So I want to try something different.
Yeah. I've experimented with. I went back to these. So I went to. I was using the Remo pinstripe. The clear pinstripes, because I was kind of going for like that classic. I don't know, that kind of like classic 80s. Heavy metal kind of sound. And then I was also using the controlled sound with the dot on the bottom, the Remo with the, and then when I bought when I got the Attic custom drum, Eric had the Evans HD and then Evans on the bottom, and then the Pure Sound snare wires, which I did not know that the wires on the bottom play a huge role in how good the drum sounds. So what I started doing is swapping all my heads on all my. I think 9 snares. So I'm swapping all the heads on all my snares, and I'm swapping all the wires now. And I'm putting the Pure Sound, and I'm putting the HD 2-ply, and then the Evans like 300 whatever on the bottom. So yeah.
I went reverse dot on the snare, and I like those a lot. I did the same thing with the snare wires. I recently bought, can't remember the name of them right now, but I changed the snare wires over on my 13, and it actually sounds really good. So
that's cool. Yeah, it's amazing how much of a difference that made. So
I played pinstripes for a long time, but for some reason I just stopped buying Remo heads. Like, I don't remember why.
Well, I did too for a long time, and because I thought Evans' quality was better. Like, even they don't use the glue, it's in folded in the rim. So like, because a long time ago I would used to have sometimes the Remo, the glue would come undone, and then you'd have half the head popping through the rim. So I was like, well, screw that. So, but then I was like, well, let me give it a shot. I haven't used these in a long time. And then they sounded great. However, I tried a pinstripe on the bass drum, and that was terrible. So I got rid of that immediately. It just had a terrible sound to it. I really like the Evans, the EMAD, I guess it's called. But now I just got a coated onyx with that same kind of muffle ring on it. So I'm going to try the black head on the bass drum and see what that sounds like. So
I use the same bass drum head. The only Remo head that I have left is the Rezo. That's the only Remo I have left.
Yeah.
Look, tell me about your kit.
Sure.
Custom Pearl.
Custom Pearl, yeah. I had it made like 20 years ago. It was black sparkle. I wanted black heart, so all the rims and all the lugs are black. It's a 10 by 9 rack tom, 12 by 10. I have a 16 by 14, and then what I have right here is a 16 by 16. The 16 by 14 is in a case somewhere. And then right now at the moment, because I'm on a Led Zeppelin kick, I got my Ludwig Superphonic snare drum, which is the same snare that Bonham and Alex Van Halen used. And it's the most recorded snare drum in history. You did not know that. The Ludwig Superphonic. So that's what I got right now. All my cymbals at the moment are A Customs. So we got a 19 A Custom hand hammered China, 19-inch projection crash. My favorite ride is the 21-inch Mega Bell, 8-inch splash. This is an 18 crash, and this is a 17 crash. And these are 14-inch Master Sound hi-hats.
Yeah, I played Zildjian for a long time too, and I actually got rid of all my Zildjian stuff because there haven't been one that I bought that I haven't broken. And I'm not trying to start a cymbal war. I mean, I know everybody has their preference, and your cymbals sound amazing, so I'm not obviously knocking that part of it either. But yeah, I haven't, because the ones that you have are like the top of the line Zildjian, though, right? Like the
A Custom, so kind of when I buy a cymbal or like a crash cymbal, especially when I hit it, I want it to sound like a glass bottle smashing. So like just like complete, just something being broken. So I find with the A Customs, I get that sound that I'm looking for out of my crashes. So, and the ride, I just like a really heavy ride, and with that big bell, it just cuts through anything. So it's pretty sweet.
I just recently bought this pasty. I think it's a 9001, and that's been the comment I've heard a lot is that the bell cuts through. And I had a B8 that I held on to for way longer than I probably should have, saving it. And but I got this pasty, and it's the same thing. Like, it's got a nice big bell. It cuts through really nice, but it doesn't have like a nasty ring to it. It even, I mean, not that I use my ride that often as a crash, but like if I wanted to, or if I wanted to hit the edge of it, it still has a pretty nice tone overall. So
sure, that's great. Is that the blue ride? Is it blue?
No. It's brass. Yeah.
Oh, brass. Okay. All right.
I have a severe case of OCD, so things have to match.
Gotcha.
I couldn't throw a symbol in. I have a question about your setup, and I don't know how unusual this is, but one of the other things I noticed about how your drums are set up, and it's all about ergonomics and you being comfortable, so I'm not throwing shade, but your two rack toms seem way further left than I normally see them. Like they're off center.
They are.
And
so I noticed the reason I do that. So really, I play a 4-piece kit. I just have an extra tom when I want it. Because if you look at it, it's perfectly like a 4-piece kit here. And then if I need that extra tom, I just have it in case I need extra flavor or whatever, or it calls for it. But if you were just sitting behind the kit, it would be like, oh, you're sitting like behind a 4-piece kit. So that's kind of why I do that. Yeah.
Now that you pointed out, it makes a lot of sense. I saw it way to the left, and I was curious if you had always done that.
No, I used to have it closer to. So I used to do the bass drum, and I turned the bass drum like if I had 2 bass drums, and then there would be more to the middle. For some reason, as I got older, I just would really like to play a 4-piece kit more than often than not. So I really kind of just set this up as a 4-piece, and then I just added that extra tom there, and that's kind of just how it felt. So yeah, I didn't really. There was no rhyme or reason to that other than that's just kind of how I set it up, and it kind of worked. So I just kept it. Yeah.
What matters? Is that the kit you took out to play, or do you have a road kit?
I got a road kit. So, well, this used to be it was the only kit I used to have. So this has been all over the place with me. The new kit, I bought a kit a couple of years ago. It was a D drum kit. So it's a D drum. I think it's called Red Reflex or something like that. And so that I bring out when I play live. It's a little lighter. It's made out of alder wood, I think. So, which is an interesting wood to make make drums out of. But I think they've made a lot of guitars and stuff out of that wood. So it's supposedly a hardwood, and they sound great. They sound great live. I put the same heads on the live kit that I do on my studio kit. So I use the black Evans heads and the same bass drum head, and well, whatever snare it is. Snares are picky because some of them are too loud. So I have to find one that otherwise I have to put towels and tape and all this crap all over it, and I don't want to do that. So I have a 7x13, I think it's an 8-ply alderwood snare drum that came with the kit, and that seems to work the best. Where like the sound is nice and controlled. There's not too much overtone, and it doesn't kill everybody on stage.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that happened when I filled in for the band a couple of weeks ago. I come out, like just smashing things because I'm sticks are going, and I want to put the show on. However, I start to see everybody on stage go, I can't hear anything. I'm going, oh, that might be me. So I might need to. I go, all right. I go, so every kind of like we do a huddle. I was like, I'm gonna calm down and play lighter, and then you guys will be able to hear everything, and then that'll be a lot smoother. Once that happened, and then we kind of figured out like, okay, there's one guy that needs to give the cues. I'm only going to pay attention to this guy. These two guys that have been in the band for 20 years, for some reason, still are giving me the wrong cues. So I'm just going to pay attention to this guy. Once we had that all figured out, it was a much smoother show. So, yeah.
Two quick things. First, obviously there was a point where we all were where we only had one drum set, and that was one we drug everywhere. But we did a show where I had to walk my drum set up 2 flights of steps. And I was also responsible for the sound gear, and the singer's walking up with this microphone going, oh, yeah, I'm going to go get a drink. And I'm just like, oh.
Yep. Yeah.
The second thing is I played shows like I was talking to Matthew. Matthew said that he played at a restaurant for exactly the reason that you're saying. Like, I've played in venues that I have to be quieter, and it's just like, it's one thing when I'm here. It's totally different when I'm on stage. Like to dial that back seven gear sucks.
Yeah, it's tough because you want to put a show on because it's a live show. So, so what I had to do that. We were playing at a ski resort, and we didn't really know what we were walking into. The acoustics were terrible. I mean, it was like all windows and hardwood, so the sound just was all over the place. And so I finally just broke down and bought those hot rods or the bundle sticks. So if that ever happens again, then I at least have an option to, at least tone myself down. So
yeah, I always carry a pair of those for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Well, I don't anymore because I don't play anymore. But yeah. Do you care to share any fun band stories? Like, do you have any like over the top stories? I ask everybody who's been in a band because I've got fun band stories, but I mean, it's suitable as you want to share. Marinate on that for a second.
So when we opened up for 3 Days Grace, Paula Mudd, and Breaking Benjamin. So we got to go backstage. So everybody that was all in those bands, they're all hanging out backstage. and our dressing room was next to Breaking Benjamin's. And the drummer from Breaking Benjamin had a practice kit, electronic kit, right? And he had an amp that he was playing through. And all of a sudden, the amp shot flames out, and then the whole thing blew up. And then I'm walking back, and then they had to bring the amp outside of the venue, and I'm like, "What's going on with that?" He's like, "I don't know." All of a sudden, I was playing, and then like the speaker shot out with flames, and then they had to get rid of the amp. So that's a pretty funny story. It's pretty tame. It's a pretty tame story, but so you know.
Hey, it's fair enough, man. Tame stories are always good. I watched actually a few of your videos. The 7 Stories Falling. It was the dude, that was really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
you didn't mention the band, but I assume that's not your current one.
No, that band. So we're going back to 2003 with that band. Yeah. That was a fun band actually. So that was God. We did a record, or we did a CD, I guess. We didn't do a record, but so that song was on the CD that we did, called Loaded. So that was in our days where I think we were all in our 20s. So that song was very appropriate for that time period.
Well, it seemed like, and obviously it was probably a camcorder recording of a stage show, so it was a little like distorted, but it sounded like off-tempo fun to me, like just kind of like a chill groove with a really cool tempo to it.
Yes, yeah, it was an interesting, because I was coming from like kind of a heavy metal hardcore background, and everybody, the guitar player, bass player, were coming from more of almost a jam band alternative mix. So we made it work. So it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun for sure.
I also saw your drum solo from 2012. That was really good. I think people should go check that out. That was the one you were on stage for?
Yes, that was with the current band I'm in. So that's Barbie and Balance. Yes, that's the band. That was obviously 2012. That's what I think when I first joined around 2012. So that was one of my first gigs with them. That drum solo. It might actually. That's the second. That was the second gig I ever played with them. Yeah. So, and we went in. We were doing. I think we went from a. You ever heard of the Tragically Hip? Band? So we were doing a Tragically Hip song. Then we went into Moby Dick. Then I did my drum solo. Then we came back to Moby Dick, back to the Tragically Hip song. So.
One of the things I was thinking of when I was watching that, because I'm 99.5% sure that you said it. So it was one of your comments to one of my videos, is that you aren't really good with the stick tricks, but I saw some pretty good stick tricks in your drum solo. And I could be wrong. Maybe you did make the comment, but it was a good solo, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And that's the one thing about. Go ahead, please.
Well, I try to when I solo, what I do, I try to remind myself, like, because you want to start, and then you want to kind of build it and build it and build it, and then like have dynamics and stuff. So I used to go just off the balls to the wall crazy right from the beginning, but then you kind of burn yourself out. So like there's nowhere to go. So I started to be like, so when I started, I'm like, listen, same thing I do when I'm doing the cut, like when you start to tense up, right? I say, calm down, keep it on the slower part here, and then build that up, and then keep building and building, keep adding some new stuff. And so that's kind of like a goal that I want to kind of, so all the kind of the new techniques and some of the new kind of rudiments that I've been throwing in, I'd like to put all those things together and then kind of come up with a new, more innovative kind of drum solo. And so I'm hoping on May 21st that I'll get to do a solo at the show. So I might have something new to post on that coming up.
You're really quick, man. Your quads and your 6-stroke rolls and so forth, those are insanely tight. Like mine can be sloppy if you're really paying attention, like it does what it's supposed to, but you can tell it's not clean. Yours are really clean.
Well, so for the last, where are we now? So almost a year now, I'd say. I've been working on my six-stroke rolls. Like every time I practice, I dedicate a whole section just on my six-stroke roll, I'll add different bass drum patterns, or I'll just throw one note somewhere else just to give it a different flavor, or come down with a cymbal and then go into it, and then just move it around the kit. I try to keep it simple, just for my own sanity. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, I could drive myself crazy.
I don't remember which cover it was. There was one where you did, I think it was six-stroke rolls at the end of the cover, and they were just blazing fast.
I know in the song that I know in the Maniskin, I think the name of it.
That was, I think that was it. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a bunch of six-stroke rolls in that one. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how fast I can do six-stroke rolls with just one foot. There's a certain point in which I can't, like it depends on Matthew and I were talking about this, that I'm at this place now where I need to be in the exact right position. Like my stool needs to be right. And, but I can go up to a certain point with six-stroke rolls in a single foot, and then I have to go double, which I assume for the fast ones, you were double.
Well, yeah. You have to. Right, for sure.
Yeah.
There's no way. Really, no way you can do it without doubling them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
well, unless you're Thomas Lang.
Yeah, I don't know. They do this from another planet.
Do you have any favorite YouTube drummers you like to watch?
Yes. So one of my favorite is Joaquin. So it's El Resputo Barista. I think that's how you say it.
It's the rock drum.
Yes, right. So Joaquin is one of my favorites because he's just a cool guy, and I love the way he plays, and he has quite a diversified portfolio, I will say. Eric from the Drum Attic, I've always been a fan of his because I could just tell from when he does his chats at the end and stuff that he's just a real cool guy. So I try to connect with drummers that I feel are like, they're not putting on a show. They're not being fake for the camera. They're just real people. I watch your stuff all the time. So, you're right up there. Let's see. Obviously Drum Man 190. Let's see who else. I think it's he's a younger kid. I think it's 11 something drums, but he's got a big Makebex kit, and he's got pretty long hair, and he plays like a lot of metal and stuff like that. So, and I'm trying to get a collab with him at some point. So that's another one I've been watching. I love Marcus drums, and Ruby C, the drummer. So yeah, so those are a couple of my main drummers that I always check out. And then, then you got your bigger channels like Delta Empire. Like that dude just is like insanely good. So I'll check his stuff out too. But some of the.
Sorry, please go ahead.
Oh well, and then some of the other channels that are really big. I feel that some of them just get a lot of views because some of them are just females, and they're just going to get more views than the males. So like if I put on a pair of fake boobies or something, I might get more views than I don't know, but that's just the theory I have.
Sure, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. You know how you can see the thumbnail of the person who's playing?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're good or not. If you're wearing a scantily outfit, I'm not even going to watch it. I'm not even going to pay it service. Because it becomes. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it becomes more about that than the drum, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're just
obviously, Well, and they obviously know that because they wouldn't be wearing that
Right. Right.
if it didn't sell. Like, so I
Yeah.
agree with that. So
And on the same token, I tell you, nothing is more attractive than a really talented female drummer to me. But all that aside, really talented is the part that's important in that. Like, you have to be good first. So
you do, for sure. Absolutely. I agree.
I don't want to take any credit here, but it seems like everybody I asked to do Under the Covers gets a Attic Custom Drums endorsement. So
hey, it must have happened, well, he must have knew that we were going to have this,
I willed it so. I willed it so. He's making some really good stuff. He's making some really, really good stuff.
It's really nice. It's great. I mean, the drum I bought is one of I've used that in most of the covers that I've done this year. So it's a real versatile drum, and obviously you made it to my specifications. So there's nothing better than having your own personal drum that made for you. So
I haven't had a lot of interactions with Eric just because but the interactions I have had with him, he just seems like a really cool guy. Plus he has like the perfect voice for radio. Like, I hate the sound. I listen to him talk. Like, he just has a good radio voice. But he said something along the lines of thank you on Matthew's thing, because I said something about his drums. But the thing to me is, it's like he's doing what he loves. It's really hard to get a company off the ground to do what you're doing. And it'd be one thing if he was putting out crap stuff, but he's totally not. Like, everything I've seen has been way above bar. And I don't know nice stuff, but yeah, I mean, you put out good quality stuff, I'll back you. Like, you deserve it. Do what you want, so.
Yeah, I have no complaints with what I'm in the process of thinking, what do I want him to build me now?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we might be going with a brass shell, and I'm thinking like hand hammered brass shell. So, and I just got to figure out what kind of hardware I want to go on with that. So we'll figure that out.
I'm in this paralysis state right now where I think I have it narrowed down that I want a deep, like 13,
mm-hmm.
But I don't know what I want on it. I don't know the material. Like, I just want something that sounds different than what I already have.
Yeah. So what do you play now? What do you have now?
Largely, I like the 13. I've got a Tama 13 by 6.5. It's got right depth, so it has kind of a soft crack to it, and I do like the crack more than anything. And then because it's a 13, like, I'm not looking like a woman of the night here with my legs straight. But the other drum that I have is it's a really old, like, olive and blue labeled Ludwig. And I think it's just a standard custom or standard concert snare that Ludwig put out a long time ago. I looked it up. I can't find it because there's no name. But it is, it's stainless over maple, I think. And it has an insane crack to it. Like, I can hit it. There's no overtones. Like, how sometimes when you're doing the recording on a snare. And here's the funny thing is I bought this DW kit and it came with a 14 by 6. And I hate it. Mm-hmm. Like, the throw's nice, like, I'll say that, but like, it doesn't sound good. And so I need to play with it. Yeah. Look, man, it was really nice having you, man. I really appreciate the time you've taken. Please like and subscribe Joey's channel if you haven't already. I mean, I can't imagine I'm going to bring a lot of viewers to you, truthfully, man, because you have a lot, but if you haven't seen Joey's stuff, please go watch it. All of it is just really great, man. It's really impressive.
I appreciate it, man. I thank you very much for having me. It's very cool. I was honored to do it. So
very cool.
Thank you very much.
Awesome, man. Great. Well, thanks a lot.